Embark on your journey, the path you must take. Though hate may surround you, it's not your fate to forsake. Co-creating your destiny in the dance of time. The guiding light within you ignites the sublime. It is the light, the guiding light from the heart and soul. Don't lose control. Let it be the light, shining bright, unlocking potential beyond belief, taking flight. In the depths of your being, the truth resides. Embrace your power, let your spirit rise. With every step forward, you transcend the expanded conscious community we commend. Through trials and triumphs, your soul evolves in the symphony of life, where every note resolves. Listen to the whispers of your inner voice. In unity and love, let your heart rejoice. It is the light, the guiding light from the heart and soul. Don't lose control. Let it be the light, shining bright, unlocking potential beyond belief, taking flight. It is the light, the guiding light from the heart and soul. Don't lose control. Let it be the light, shining bright, unlocking potential beyond belief, taking flight. As we gather together in this sacred space, embracing transformation with grace. Life coach Malachi leads the way in unlocking potential day by day. One faith, embracing transformation with grace. Life coach Malachi leads the way, unlocking potential day by day.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm here. Finally got it all to log in to Facebook. Sometimes it can act silly on Facebook, but we are here, got it all connected back up, and I appreciate you for your time and the fact that you guys are here. And I'm already preparing for March, so I'll have really some of the topics and some of the things that I believe that will be good for March. How you guys doing? I just went straight into this. Oh, get my hair wrapped up. Of course, there's a couple of things I won't be that long this evening. I always say that and end up being long. But let's see here. Who's in the building or who's in the room? Let's see. Okay, make sure all my stuff is working right. Test. Yep, you guys should be able to hear me. Cool. There's something I see I want to fix. All right. We got Miss Deidre, Mother White. Hey, thank you guys. Miss Russell. Yes. Hey, Stena. Go back there. Let's see. People are there. There we go. Hey, it's good. It's good to see you. It's good to see Miss Marie. Yes, yes. All my favorite people. Look at Colin. We're gonna get connected, sir. We're gonna get connected. Oh my God. Hey, Amy. It's so interesting. So interesting to see. You know, it won't be long. There's some thoughts and some interesting takes on life as we go through life. And, you know, for those who are here at this time, this is what we consider Black History Month. Why do we have it? How did it start? Some people, it's good questions, right? You've heard people say things about like we have this. It's like we don't have. People say we don't have other histories, but actually we do. You know, there's Hispanic, and there's Native American. Um, it's really quite interesting. I promise you that I will leave you intrigued, and you'll be asking questions about your own self and your own thought, right? For all you are people who like to think, right? Some people like to discover life, right? Um, if you really look at our current lives and we go back 100 years, so that'd be 1925, and how different the place was. There's a lot that has happened in the world, and and as time goes on, we've discovered that a lot more will continue to happen, and it will just happen quicker. Has time changed? I would say time has changed, right? Time is changing, even though it seems like we'd like to repeat history, right? One thing I would want everyone to do that's in this space, I know there's going to be quite a few people more that will probably end up joining a little later this evening. But one of the things that I would want you to do, with everything that's going on in life, of course, everyone is dealing with various different things. And one of the things we deal with in life is information. There's a lot of information out there. You hear a lot of people talking about various different things. My youngest daughter, who's 14 years old, woke up last night not quite in the middle of the night, but overall she was tired. But she had a long day, went out of town, did a competition. She already deals with this in general, but just a lot of thoughts, a lot of things rolling, she's, at this age. And I don't know if you know this, but it's a lot for our youth right now with social media, all the information. Adults are being crazy. It's a lot different from how I grew up personally, especially when we think about news. We didn't really have 24-hour news necessarily. Politics weren't a sport in the 80s and 90s. You had politics, but it wasn't like you didn't go put on a political party's shirt. You didn't go put on a political party's, you didn't put that on your house. I'm in Oklahoma, and I seen a guy and his truck was decorated in in political party of his, of course, Trump, because I've never ever seen someone. I think he's probably the first that I've seen. Trump is the first that I've seen where you would see somebody maybe have a T-shirt. Back in the day, you might see somebody have a T-shirt, but not necessarily like, paraphernalia like it's the a sports team. But anyways, my daughter, that's we have had conversations there because she was just kind of confused with seeing the image on a TV show and then seeing an image there and seeing an image there. And there's just so much for a person to handle. And we don't realize, even for ourselves, that there's a lot of chaos. And that chaos is not healthy. How do we handle life right now? This is Black History Month, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Black History Month and what does it look like in the future. I'm here to tell you that it's going to be an evolving consciousness. And I think it's going to dovetail hopefully, because we like to say it is American history versus just Black history, but it's not necessarily incorporated into our history. I'm finding out things about the past that I think we all should know of the contribution. Because I think we all give reverence to the contribution of people that have contributed to the evolution of who we are. I'm sorry, but even though Steve Jobs they say was an asshole, I still love Apple. Yeah, I like Apple. I'm sorry. Yes, I like it. I love Apple. Oh, but what I want to do with you is I just I have some notes here, and this was about heritage and people finding out who they are. And I think it's okay for people to find out who they are, especially depending on how they have arrived and come to the planet. And I think what's crazy about Black History Month is that it is beneficial for all people, Americans, to understand about the achievement of these Americans and the fact that they too get to see the light of, or get to see the contribution of a people that have been through some things, right, in our country. And I think it's amazing. I have a dear friend. His name is, actually, this was going to be a day that I was going to think about having him on, was White George. White George is a cool dude. He's one of my favorite people. And he talks about his life and what he did and, in his life, growing up in Arkansas, experiencing life as a white male. He went to prison for something. And he's going to be on the show eventually, but he went to a bunch of HBCUs and he tells Black history incredibly. We'll watch a couple of his. He's going to be on the show. I'm working with him on a few things, but White George, he tells Black history because he's a historian, and it's really different coming from him because it kind of throws you off. But the way everything's moving and rolling, it's a weird idea that it could be no longer a national holiday, or no, I'm sorry, national like celebrated month. Um, what does that mean? Nonetheless, we don't want to need to ask the question why. If we start asking the question why on a lot of things today, um, where will we end up? Um, but of course, I like to always tie this to consciousness. Like, and when I say consciousness, I like to tie it. When I say consciousness, I can be talking about awareness. I can also, but a lot of times I'm talking about the expansion of consciousness. How do we look at that from an expanded viewpoint of where do we go from here? Because we can get stagnant to the point where we talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and then we don't see. But I think like through White George, even like he's producing content and bringing up Black people and what they've been able to accomplish, like inventors and things that you would have never known. Like, oh my God, that's really cool history. Oh my God, that's so, it's neat. And crazy as it sounds, is that can empower a few people. They can be empowered and be like, oh wow, I can do that too. Yes, you can do that too. So I'm able to sit, and you guys can keep the comments rolling because I'm sitting here watching them. A lot of times I'll be talking. And so I love it. Make sure you guys keep it rolling. And we are a very active bunch. For you guys, if it's your first time, you'll see some of our legacy family, expanded conscious family. Where a lot of things we talk about is beliefs. We talk about expanding who we are, knowing who we are, our divine authentic self, deconstructing our realities, deconstructing our belief systems, and ultimately growing. Let's see here. All right. So the history, as we all know, the history of this celebration, it dates back, of course. In the Negro History Week was in 1926 by a guy named Carter G. Woodson, the only second Black American to earn a PhD from Harvard. Which was really, really interesting. So if you look at that, that was 1926. So if you think about it, 2025 and 2026 was when they had the Negro History Week. It was seen as a weapon in the struggle for racial uplift. So if you think about 1925, people were still getting hung. There was some pretty brutal lynchings and hangings in what was that? I think it was 1918, all the way up until the 40s, and but really hardcore. But basically it grew, Black history grew from a week into a recognized national month. And it kind of expanded in the 1960s through the civil rights movement. And a lot of people would call, that be part of the Black consciousness. So throughout the years, it has gained a lot of popularity. I've discovered, I think it was Kent State University is where it was extended from a week to a month. And so on Kent State, the first Black History Month was celebrated in 1970. So if you know anything about the 70s, right, that was a moment in time where you had a lot of, that's that tree hugger era, right? And it was really interesting just to think that all this was bubbling. So literally from 1926 until 1970, when they did that on the campus of Kent State, and in 1976, the bicentennial, President Gerald Ford recognized it as Black History Month. I was born in 1976. He said he wanted to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishment of Black Americans in every era endeavor throughout history. So it's just kind of interesting, right? So the internationally, Canada celebrates it in February. The UK and Ireland honors Black history in October. So it's intriguing. It's interesting. When we really look at some of the true history, of course, everybody knows the big figures like Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X. But names like, I'm researched here, names like Lonnie G. Bunch III, that was the founder of the director of the National Museum of African American History and Culture, right? Which is part of the institutionalization. And it has been established in our governments. And there's a lot of questions that we have today. And some people think that we question it. We question it because it has appeared that it seems like that Black history doesn't include anyone else. But I'm here to tell you that it is a part of the melting pot. It is a part of all of us. It's just the fact that that's a moment in time that it's highlighted. No different than a person may celebrate Steve Jobs and what he was able to accomplish and use our Apple products. And I'm grateful and thankful for his contribution. And even better yet, his contribution without what he could have been. If you look at the current tech billionaires and their actual true contribution to society versus their contribution with a bottom line driven, producing a product not to make lives better, but just to make money per se. I still see y'all's comments rolling. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. But you may not know it, but it wasn't until like 2020. It was just 2020 when all this stuff that we're talking about, as in DEI and as in Black Lives Matter, and like it wasn't until really 2020 that a lot of the culture or a lot of the history of the culture start to respawn into something else. You know, a lot of people were finding out about Juneteenth. I have a documentary. We're about to release the second part that started in June 2020 and recorded all the way until 2023, 2024, I think. I mean, we recorded a lot. And so I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, home of the Tulsa Race Massacre. And of course, during that time, we've celebrated it just got put in the textbooks, and most people don't know the impact and that it had on the community and how big it was. And the struggles that people may have, regardless of what people think, there are certain struggles, but I'm here to just communicate with you guys. And we want to look at the expanded conscious, right? One of the things about me, I want you to know, when I think expanded consciousness, and I think about awareness, and I think about consciousness itself, Black history would be something that we all would celebrate, not Black people. It's a celebration for us all in where we are. It should be okay, but what happens when that happens, to me, what happens is we get to look at it for what it's worth, just as I was just talking about Steve Jobs. So he had contributed. It's the same thing where it's like when a person sees a person and what they're able to accomplish, it can be something that we say, wow, this is where we were, this is where we are, and that can actually help prepare us for the future. So, and like I said, keep your comments rolling, because I think between Facebook and YouTube, if you're on Facebook, there's a lot of conversations on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, there's a lot of conversations on Facebook. But I would say one way for us to understand the trajectory of Black History Month is through the lens of expanded consciousness, expanded collective consciousness. Over the past century, I would say there's been a gradual shift in society, how society perceives the past. It's like Black history was things that it kind of lived in the shadows. It emitted mainstream narratives, and it was like a deliberate oppression. W.E.B. Du Bois once noted America's unwillingness to confront its history of racism was like an illness in the national soul. Black History Month was an early antidote, forcing acknowledgement of Black stories in a public way. What people don't know is when you start talking about Christ, Jesus, and you start talking about the oneness, Neville Goddard talks about is everyone is you pushed out. Everyone is you pushed out. It's another version of who you are. Everyone is capable of being that person, and it is another version of you. Sounds crazy. I hear the story about Jesus with the men on the cross. I believe that's where it was, the passage where it says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. It's in that essence and that humbleness and that connection. I'm not saying that you just, that slap turn the other cheek. I'm not talking about that. Talking from an expanded consciousness point of view. I'm talking from how do I evolve into an expanded version of who I am? How do I connect to the higher self? And although I titled it, I was like, the last Black History Month, because of all the things that are going on, I'll tell you this. You're going to experience life more different now than we ever have experienced it in the last 60 years, 65 years, right? Civil rights would be probably the last time that you had such of a drastic shift in society. Completely drastic shift in society, with the foundation of so many different things, and consciousness itself is shifting, and it's able to shift us. The new human that's coming will find out that it's capable of healing itself more than we've ever known. And I will say there is a lot of the Black American, or as they say, African American experience when it comes to spirituality, when we can actually elevate and move into outside of the emotions of it, outside of the dogma and the theology, we can have the ability, I would say, just in my own experience of being able to go into that spiritual space and being able to think about how God would take over, and think about how there's been a lot of adaptation within African spirituality, Ms. Deidre, with conjuring and with medicine, with shaman. I read a story recently about a lot of during the lot of the mid 1700s, I think, slavery had been working for a while. You think about the 1700s starting at 16. So by the mid 1700s, it's in full flow, and it's not going to end, for over another 100 years. But at that time, with Africans still coming over and what they were able to learn about the field, it was stated that a lot of the masters would go and get the shaman and older African women whenever they would have cuts, whenever they would be sick. Now, that's some history. They would go to them before they would go to their doctors, because you got to think about the turn of the century of medicine, right? Right now, our medicine is catastrophic. We deal with catastrophic well. Little sidebar, chase a rabbit. I got some blood work done yesterday. I took the blood work and I signed up so I could see my own blood work. And I took the blood work, put it into ChatGPT, wrote a quick prompt on what I wanted to do. And ChatGPT, literally, I turned it into an internist, and I told it what I wanted, I wanted the doctor to appear and look. that AI was able to give me an explanation of my blood results and actually tell me. And I trained it more because it was telling me how low I'm in. Of course, this is common. And I was low in vitamin D. And it was so interesting because I was able to go back and let it know I'm African American male, let it know my age, look at the results, look at the statistics on what that looks like throughout history and time, and give me a better explanation on these findings. It gave me so much, you would be flabbergasted. It would be flabbergasted of how much information it gave me. And one of the things about ChatGPT, as we do this and things of this nature, and as we expand our consciousness, those who are able to analyze and see and connect to the times don't have to constantly get lost in the chaos. Please, please, please do not get lost in the chaos. Rise above the chaos. It can be difficult because they're pumping out the news so hard and so fast. There may be times that you might want to know what's going on, but make sure you understand that everybody gets 100%, right? You get 100% in terms of energy points. Let's just say everybody has 100. And each little thing that you do, you can be writing a check, right? That's burning energy towards something. And the whole thing is, you got to understand is like, does that energy check turn void? So if you spend a whole bunch of time on social media, right? What's the payback? You're going to be tired. It's going to be lose a lot of dopamine. Turn the TV off. That's a whole. Just look it up. Work on you. Work on understanding that there's something greater and more about who we are. And things are going to shift. But what I want us to know as we are in this space is that there's so much more to this life. And there's so much more we will discover as we continue on in this life. And I think the people that are in place that are to do what they're supposed to do, and as we all go through this shift, as we go through this shift, especially as we deal with the evolution, I want you to take a note of this, the evolution of government, the evolution of humanity. United States is considered a superpower. And what that means is that we are our dollar is kind of like widely nationally accepted. We are one country that all countries are a part of, essentially. I know that's a hard pill to swallow for many. And things are changing. Things are changing right before your eyes. They're changing, and they're going to change. I know it's a hard push, or it's a hard, what would I say, understanding in the sense of whenever I say the last Black History Month. But it's playing out that CRT, critical race theory, which was taught in colleges, never taught in high school or elementary, is a political dog whistle for African American studies or anything to do with Black history. And a lot of it is really sad. It's really sad because that history is American history, and it's not going to be incorporated deeply into American history unless it's in a category. So, what do we do as we go through this? What do we do as we navigate this space? And I'm telling you, we make the unconscious conscious. We understand that more than anything, understanding that Black history is American history. And someone on here, I think, just said human history. So if you are watching this and you're not Black, don't feel alienated. Don't feel like you're not a part of it. That would be by choice, because we are a part of all the rest of American history. And as we all learn about history, as we all learn new things, as we all connect, especially us here in the expanded conscious community, I see us different. I don't see us as a collective group that is focused on the elevation of making, like the people believe it is. It's like we want to replace replace history with Black history, or we want to isolate it because it's better. That's silly. Know who you are. Knowing who you are, self-actualizing, becoming the divine, authentic self. I was talking to someone recently from England. And it was quite interesting talking to the guy from England, because a lot of the people that are from England, they kind of mixed up, but they're from England. And one of the things that they're talking about moving to America. And one of the things that we know about America is that America is all mixed up, right? Even as a Black people, we're more mixed up possibly than almost anywhere else. So where do we go from here? We learn, we grow, but I'm really a big part of this. I'm a big proponent of this. Awakening the power of our social potential. How do we look at how do we look at Black history from an expanded conscious viewpoint? How do we look at it from the evolution of after 100 years of its connection or celebration? I believe the Negro History Week and the 50-year mark of the official Black History Month from 1976 until 2026. Now, we're expanded consciousness people, right? So we don't have to just believe in the conscious, intuition, raising the intuition, mediumship, psychic abilities, and the various mediumships. We don't have to run away from the spirituality aspect of being able to understand that we can have a deeper sense and a deeper awareness. to who we are. And if anything, now is the time. Now is the time that we wake up and we realize and we birth a higher evolution of consciousness of who we are. Simple consciousness, which is possessed by the upper half of the animal kingdom. This is the evolution of consciousness. Number 2, self-consciousness, by virtue of which a man becomes conscious of himself as a distant entity apart from the rest of the universe. So a simple consciousness, the upper half of the animal kingdom. Now, I'm here to tell you, not everybody are on the same plane or same connection to the awareness and the connection to the cosmos. Not everyone can sit back and hear somebody talk about the quantum realm and using the quantum realm as a scientific term, but understanding that would be what we call is the God element. That God element in communication from us to it. One of the things I want you to know about something like Black History Month, it was formed, right? So I'm here to tell you, is it a little clickbaity? You can say that, but I'm here to tell you, it is not the end of Black History Month. But it's transforming into something new. You mark my word. Some of that can be for Black people themselves. The history is not something that, to me, that we get to hold up and like, see, we did do this. That history is like, ooh, what do I need to be doing? How do I need to be evolving? How do I need to be writing? How do I need to be doing videos? How do I need to be elevating the consciousness? Because those people were elevating the consciousness, not sitting back complaining or worried about the past. They were innovators. It's time to be innovators. Reverence the innovators. Be the innovators. Contribute. Simple consciousness, the upper half of the animal kingdom. Self-consciousness, that is when man becomes consciousness of him or herself, basically, as a distinct entity apart from the rest of the universe. Cosmic consciousness, a third form which is far above self-consciousness, as is that above simple consciousness. The prime characteristics of cosmic consciousness is, as its name implies, is a consciousness of the cosmos, that is the life and order of the universe. The intellectual enlightenment or illumination, the divine intelligence is what I usually call that, or the infinite intelligence, which alone would place the individual on a new plane of existence. So when you listen to me talk about this, I'm here to tell you that there is an evolution that is taking place, and you're hearing it first here. I promise you that it's going to it is evolving as we speak. Everything that you're seeing and witnessing is part of the evolution of consciousness. Part of it is there's an old consciousness. There's an oldness. That is stored into the bodies. It is stored into if you're not doing the subconscious work, if you're not doing the work, you're 79 years old, there could be a whole bunch of stored up old stuff in your mind and in your body, and you're just pulling that out. But you know what happens, though, is when you do that and not realize or understand that it is not 1960. It is not 1940. It is not 1920. It is 2025. And in the things that will take place as time goes along, it's going to be mind-boggling, but I'm here to let you know, right? We can be equipped and we can be ready and we can be the ones that are part of the evolution because we are tapping in, tuning in, and turning on to the higher self. And as we do that, we're getting an understanding of who we are. And we're getting an understanding that our thoughts are so powerful. Our thoughts are powerful. As a man thinketh, so is he. What are we thinking about? Cosmic consciousness, as its name applies, a consciousness of the cosmos that is the life and order of the universe, an intellectual enlightenment or illumination which alone would place the individual on a new plane of existence. Listen to this. To this is added a state of moral exaltation, an indescribable feeling of evolution, elevation, a quickening of the moral sense, which is more important both to the individual and to the race than is the enhanced intellectual power. With these come what may be called a sense of immortality, a consciousness of eternal life, not a conviction that we shall have this, but the consciousness that we have already. See, what's happening is the human consciousness and transformation, right? What's happening is, I'm telling you, what I want you to know is that we can take on God. And if we can take on God, that means I can take on somewhat another race. I'm not saying you're going to be that race. I'm not going to say you actually act like that race, but I'm just going to tap in and tune in and feel empath. We have that ability if we allow, maybe for understanding. But ultimately, we have to begin to learn who we are and know who we are, embrace who we are. And that's the whole point of the reason why, more than anything, like it's important for us all to know this history, to understand this history. And ultimately, this history just needs to be digitized. Because once the history is digitized and once you put the videos out and once people can go learn for themselves, you're not getting rid of it. You're not getting rid of it. From a spiritual or metaphysical standpoint, one might say that Black History Month contributes to the healing of ancestral wounds, not just for Black Americans. Remember that story I told you? I'll bring it back up. But for a nation built on slavery and segregation. This creates a space for truth telling. Stay with me on this, which is often the first steps in any healing or growth process. And think about this, y'all. You're talking about the evolution of who we are. The Black church is the number one. There's more Christian than anyone else. And if you went to a black church, typical person, right? And you start talking about the healing of ancestral wounds, and you start talking about what they did and how did they contribute to medicine, they weren't laying on hands. They weren't doing all that laying on hands and all of the shouting and dancing until the 1900s, early 1900s. Maybe did a little bit in late 1800s, but the African American Methodist wasn't around until the late 1700s, right? As an organized religion. Whenever they went back to those shaman and or women that were able to use, that was hoodoo. They were able to use plants and trees and organisms and most likely cannabis and mushrooms. They were able to use that stuff. And a lot of the slave masters would want them to they would go to them before they would go to the doctor. The doctor that they called out they would do that. And how much we are disconnected when you look at this, quote, spiritual Black history. We're more disconnected to our spiritual Black history, which has a lot of African and Kemet ties, probably even some of the Kabbalah ties. I've seen some of that work. And it's more deeply connected to that than we actually can imagine. And we're hindering, a lot of times with a lot of this stuff, we're actually hindering our ability to actually have a connection to the healing process that we naturally have, right? Yeah. Oh, man, come on, man. Come on. The end goal is a collective enlightenment to me, where history is no longer just like it's not like a tool of oppression, and it's not division. That this thing is the foundation of wisdom, of possibly who we are, but also the reason why we are how we are. Martin Luther King Jr. has a famous assurance that says the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. That was like a consciousness kind of statement, talking about the arc of the moral universe. You had to be somebody different and special to really look at how people were treated and wanting to change that. And then a lot of that has changed. Although we still want to repeat a lot of it, it's not going to be like it was. And what we're facing and dealing with now is something completely different, because all they're doing is using a lot of that history to make people believe from that history. And it has worked till now. And I believe where we are is that the broader evolution of human consciousness, it's nudging us towards a future that we know each other's history, and it be second nature. It's intriguing to understand and learn and to know, and what we can do as we build on that foundation. When you have that story and you need to encourage somebody because of their situation, you can encourage them. It's amazing when we see somebody do something, especially that looks like us or from our neck of the woods, or when we see because it doesn't happen a whole lot based on the way a lot of the systems are set up. But it does happen. I'm here to just say February of 2025 is the 99th year for Black History Month as a national recognized month and space. 2026 is going to be the 100th year. And I can't tell you. I can't tell you what that looks like, what the future of that looks like. But I can tell you we can reimagine and evolve, transforming Black History Month and for the expanded conscious community, it's the Black Futures Month. So we're looking at we know where we've been, but now we're going to look at it as how do we look at the innovation? How do we look at how things are evolving? Use it as fuel, right? Let's expand who we are, all of us. And the more I see this as a space for everyone. You don't have to. American history has been taught, and it hasn't all physically been taught. Just bits and pieces of it. And we learn. It's good to learn about history. They say you learn it so you don't repeat. We won't repeat it, right? But I don't think that's really just because you're bound to do it anyway. I think the important part of history has to do with us defining who we are, where we've come, understanding our history, the reason why we might see some things today. There are things coming out about more solid evidence about the history of America, Native Americans, that goes far back before the Native Americans that we have that are here. There was other tribes of people that you can study and see online. It's quite interesting that we have conversations about the Middle Eastern history in the era of Jesus, when a lot of those texts were for those people of that time, and those people weren't writing those texts. They weren't writing those texts thinking, I know in 2,000 years, it's going to be really important for them to really learn about this shit. I say it like that on purpose, because I think it's asinine when we sit back and we take ancient texts. I don't even have a Bible on this show. But we sit back and we take ancient text, old text, and we turn it into the foundation of who we are as a people, when it was just life of who we are as a people then. Very mystical, very, very, can I say fantasy, if you will. lot of it wasn't written. It wasn't written for us to dissect it so that we can call it out to be truth. That's not why the Bible was written. They were just writing. They were just writing like, I think we should write this. This is something that I feel. But we want to make it out like it was like they was writing the Bible for, it was like, about 2,500 years. America, man, as you get into understanding consciousness, man, it's the most ridiculous thing to ever imagine. I mean, I have a book from Carlton Pearson. This was in Carlton Pearson's house. I have this book. And look at this, y'all. Like 1889. I looked up this person, Amos A. Perry, and he has an actual death certificate and history and everything else on the internet. And this book is titled The Natural Law in the Spiritual World. Right? This was just in the 1800s. So just imagine, this is what they were thinking in the 1800s. How in the world were they able to be thinking 2,500 years ago, 3,000 years ago? And it's just so, and you try to take yourself back to that time, and you're going to ask some of the writers. You're sitting down with the Apostle Paul, and you're sitting there and he's by candlelight writing a letter to the Corinth. And you were to say, hey, I'm from the future, in about, let's say 2,000 years. I got this phone here and I want to take a picture and a video of your writing, because it's going to be very important, because they're going to be using your writings and what your interpretation is of Jesus more than they actually know, and they talk about Jesus himself, right? I guarantee you would be like, first of all, what the hell are you? How in the world? And his mind would be blown. He would be blown away, because in that consciousness, to me, it would be, I'm writing a letter to these people here. I don't care about anything to do with what you're talking about. No, I'm not making a gospel. No, I'm not making a religion. I'm just writing. We're just talking about this stuff. And these people need to know what I'm talking about now for us. I'm not thinking about you. It's almost like it's almost like narcissism. In terms of how we want to take that old book, the Bible, and just make it where it's about us. Get the hell out of here, bro. This shit ain't about you, bro. It's not about you. Get over yourself. You can't tell me what happened to us in Tulsa, Oklahoma 100 years ago. But you want to tell me what happened 2,500 years ago and how we need to make sure we do what it says? No, I'm not an atheist. Some people may consider that. Because, I'm sorry, but I don't believe in any of that. I think it's stories. I think they're neat. I think they may have some wisdom in them. I think it's It's a beautiful text. But I think we can really take it really, really far in trying to make it out to be so much for us. When we understand now that we can have the divine of who we are within us, we can connect to our higher self. We can connect so deeply. And I think there was a time that people did probably connect a little bit more. We connected a little bit more to the spaces, to the universe, because you're constantly outside, you're constantly looking at the stars. You didn't have so many conveniences, so there was probably ways for people to connect using levels of intuition, right? Being able to connect. There is a discredit that I was going to show you, but I'm not going to bother. Because there's a lot of discredit as much as we say what's going on and people hear. And it's an energy. But Black pilots of commercial airlines are being harassed to a degree. As in, like, you're flying a plane. There's no such thing as a DEI pilot. That's a misnomer. Okay? That is what we call is a logical fallacy. Okay? It's a logical fallacy. There is no DEI doctor. Now, and that's if you look at DEI from a merit standpoint. DEI doesn't mean merit. So when you say DEI doctor, that, yes, technically that could be true. That veteran white male doctor could be a DEI because he's a veteran. And his veteran benefits to get into medical school can follow under the DEI framework. Okay. The merit-based concept or ideology of a Black doctor being a doctor only because of the fact that they have this merit, meaning that they did not pass the same test to be a pilot. You guys got to bear with me so that I don't really run you off, because there's so many other cuss words that I would add to this if I was talking to Miss Dorothy by myself. In order to be a pilot, a commercial pilot, there's no merits that's going to allow you to understand the complexities of a modern aircraft. No way. You have to know how to, heck, you have to learn how to communicate the language and be able to actually talk to the tower. A19 or A19, A, it sounds like garbage. Like, it sounds crazy. I've sit there and listened to them talk on airlines, and it's like that whole lingo is, you just don't fake that. And so the premise requires for you to actually reduce your level of consciousness in order to even take on the concept or the idea or the theory or the ideology that a medical doctor or a pilot that is of a different race, specifically Black, did not do exactly the same thing, if not more, than the counterpart. That is, like, forget the person that said that. The person that said that is on a whole nother level of stupid. But the person that is not able to hear the logical fallacy and not call it out and be like, time out, time out, time out. Okay, you can roll with your story. You can roll with your story if you're talking about like the fact that this plane still came off the ground. You know, you're talking about some other job, but the plane still came off the ground. The person still flew it. Like, what are you talking about? Logical fallacy. Like, so it doesn't make sense. That all comes down to consciousness. That all comes down to belief, right? What do you believe? Why do you believe it? How do those beliefs add to or subtract to the quality of your life? If somebody can tell you what to believe, which, thank you, church, I don't know what else you have. I love y'all. It is not the last Black History Month, but it is the evolution of it. It is going to change. It is changing. We will begin to look at life different. We should. But I'm here and I'm letting you know that I believe we should expand our awareness, and expand our consciousness, and connect to our higher self. I believe that we should look at this different than the collapse. We should look at, how do we do our part? How do I become my divine authentic self? How do I show up? How do I push out, even through energy, even through my practices of like, you know what I mean? Through energy and my practices. How do I show up? Keep learning, folks. Keep growing, folks. I seen that you guys had it moving. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so, anybody, I don't know if, DJ, you probably don't have your, sometime you can have your cameras ready. Dr. Dorothy, you have your camera ready. DJ, you have your camera ready. Anybody out there, I want to invite somebody to the stage and make some comments on what I said today. Anybody out there? I'm going to let somebody in the room. There you go. I just posted it to YouTube. You don't have to. I'm going to just see what happens. Right? Now I'm going to post it. My Facebook thing wasn't working right. So now I'm going to post it to Facebook. Because like, if anybody's out there, I'd see it if you popped up here. Let me go on here, Facebook. I didn't have a guest, but I am so open to, here we go. So open to, if anybody, give you guys a couple minutes if somebody was out there. I'm in my pajamas. Hey, no, you good, you good. You don't have to. No, it's just, hey, in case you wanted to take the stage, because I know some people might be fired up whenever they hear this conversation. Like, you know, we got the Black History Month, we got history, and we're talking about it. But then what's the evolution of it? Next year is 100 years. And I think the evolution, of course, with me, everything is really on the cosmic. I love cosmic consciousness. I love the quantum field. I love that stuff is healing for me. I'm sorry, sorry, not sorry, that the higher self and connecting to the soul, I'm not a man. I'm not a woman. I'm not black. I'm just woo. And that's just from meditation and going out to my higher self, right? And going into the deep. Sometimes I might be on a little something, but you know. Oh, look, Dr. Dorothy in her pajamas, y'all. She like, oh my goodness. I should have called her earlier. Well, I just didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's just things are going on, stuff is going on, and I'm like, you know how it is. And like, wait, this is the last day for Black History Month. Next Thursday is going to be something different. Is Bill Ellis still on here? Well, Dr. Dorothy, you know how we grew up. And it said, you know, when it's time to sing, what did they say? I want to see if you put it in the comments. Deidre, anybody know what they used to say in the church whenever they be like trying to get you to get on there and get up there and sing? Anybody know they used to say, I want to see, get Biggie also ready? Dr. Dorothy, you can also do voice too. You don't have to do a video. Hey, Danny. That's a brother from another brother from years ago. Love you, bro. Hey, Miss Marie.
Hey, and I said, you know what? This is Black History Month. This was Black History Month at 10 o'clock at night in the country.
Say it again. Bring your phone just a little closer. See. All right. Say it now.
I said, this is Black History Month, and this is what Black people look like at 10 o'clock at night in the country.
You look totally fine. Hey, it's
laying down. I'm laying
it's
down.
just intimate with us. It's all everybody's here just chilling, you know. What you think about this?
You know, my faith is being tested.
Okay.
So I like you said, if it was just one-on-one, I would say different things. But some stuff I can't say because everybody thinks they're right in their own eyes, I think. You know, what I believe and what you believe may be two different things. I believe some stuff I don't. It just,
Yes.
you know, it's everybody have to stand up for their own and have to stand for themselves. We're not going holding hands. When we die, we go on by ourselves. When we're born, we're coming, we came by ourselves. So some of the stuff I'm gonna be silent. And if you got a question that you want me to ask,
No, you're
answer,
good. Well, I mean, what
I'm
do you
good.
think?
But Black history, I think, even when I found out about Juneteenth when I was living in Tulsa, I didn't even know about Juneteenth. They don't teach it here in Tennessee. And so I lived there 27 years. I probably found out about it when they start having the Guthrie Green stuff and built. That's when I heard about it. You know, so and I'm like, what is that? So, you know, I try to bring it back here to Nashville and tell everyone I'm not, you know, I don't celebrate 4th of July because it was not about us. So we have to do it ourselves, whereas a lot of Black people know it, but they'll still celebrate. And people are brown people, Black people, just people, they'll celebrate 4th of July. And then Juneteenth, they know about it, but they will not, you know, expand or say something about it or recognize it. They just won't do it.
Yeah.
So we have to do it ourselves, and we have to keep telling, and we have to stop doing 4th of July.
The way I see about it, because see, my memory of the 4th of July has nothing to do with the America Foundation America. When I think about the 4th of July, honestly, I think about my family, coming together, eating food, doing fireworks,
Mm-hmm.
and celebrating. Like, because I never did like grow up political.
Red, white, and blue. You didn't wear red, white, and blue shorts, and
It was more or less, when I seen it, honestly, it was more about the fireworks, and all that stuff was just fun. But a lot of times it was summer, and I grew up in Parsons, Kansas, and during the 4th of July, every 3 years, they would have this thing called Black Homecoming.
oh, okay.
And it was a time that it was all about family. And I didn't know anything about, like, oh, this is the foundation of America. This is nothing. And we had that conversation about Thanksgiving, because of the fact that this Thanksgiving would be celebrating, and we have Native American friends, of course, in Oklahoma, and how they don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
I don't either.
And what happens is, like you get off Sundays automatically. So during Thanksgiving, you automatically get off like a whole week of school or something like that.
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Correct.
So we use it as an opportunity to have the conversation about what it really is. We'll also use it as a time where the kids are off school and off college, and so everybody comes together, and being able to say, hey, we're all here, you know. And so the way I think I try to do it is I just reframe it. But it's a time that, because of the way the holidays are, you automatically get those days off. So what do? Nothing. So I reframe it. No different than how I reframe Christmas. Not saying that we don't. It's like we don't go heavy and hardcore on like Jesus is the reason for the season. It's like Christmas. Is there a manger or things like that? Yeah. But I mean, it's not. But there's lights and there's Santa. I mean, my wife is addicted to black Santas. She was like, I grew up my whole life with white Santa. So now I get the opportunity to be in this house, in this neighborhood with my family with a black Santa. You know?
Yeah. I guess because my kids are grown. Well, I have this teenager, but the kids nowadays don't do like we did. And so I don't really care. I asked him, you want a Christmas tree? I don't really care. So I said, fine, I don't care either. I gave it away. So I just went to Hobby Lobby and bought me some trees with lights on it, you know, and little things to put up. But as far as doing that pine tree and all that, I really don't do it.
No.
But
absolutely,
everybody do what they want to do. I just don't want to disrespect the Indians. I mean, nobody thinks of them. It was
that's the time that
they murdered and poisoned. And they don't tell the real story. Tell the truth.
That's the time that, to me, for me, it's like that's the thing that when you really be able to say it's Thanksgiving, there's a part of Thanksgiving that you can actually say, I'm thankful for life. I can care less what happened back then because it's more of a holiday anyway and has more to do with money. So I'm just more thankful for life and I'm thankful for family. But I'm also going to be referenced in terms of like, this is the time that you can actually say this is what happened. Oh, wow. Wow. That's what really truly happened. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm get off here because my phone is ringing. And it never rings until somebody's out of town.
Thank you so much. I'm pretty sure everybody loved having you on. You're so amazing.
This is what country people look like here in Donaldson, Tennessee at 10:10 on February 28th, my mom's birthday, and also Blackout Friday. So
Was
you
it
all, yeah, if you could
Tamara?
refrain from buying anything unless
I
it's
like it.
a person that's a person that's uh, African American owned or a person that's brown. Yeah, then
Hmm.
you can. I think Dr. Dorothy's trying to get on, but if y'all would do that all day tomorrow, hi, Dr. Dot. If y'all would do that tomorrow, and then maybe we can take it further. You know, it's an experiment. No Walmart, no Amazon, no
It's the power of
DoorDash.
I love it. It's the power of the people, right? The power of the people and bringing unity together is really, really a vote. And I think it's beautiful. And I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get off here because I gotta answer my phone. Love
All
y'all.
right. Bye bye. Hey, doctor. When she get ready, y'all, when I see her on there, I'll bring her back. That's so cool just to actually hear some voices. You know, she gets a point. There's people that experience these holidays and events and get to learn, or we get to know some of the truth of the matter that was never said. And so how do you of course we cannot celebrate. You have that option. I've chosen to reframe it, you know, actually tell a different story and then use it like 4th of July. Like um the celebration could be a time that you actually bring to light your truth. Yes, Dr. Dorothy, we did. I'm not sure if she can hear me there. Soon as she come back on and I see her on there, we'll hear from her before I. There it is. Yeah, I figured something happened there. All right, here she is, y'all. Hey, I did it.
Why am I on here tonight?
Hey, it's just listen. Like the people have spoken. You remember what they said? They said, "Be ye also ready."
Yes, I do.
That was so annoying when I was growing up. Like,
That was the worst thing you could do to somebody in church is to call them in at the last minute, right?
and be like, "Hey, we need y'all to come and sing a song."
Right.
And everybody like trying to figure out what they're gonna sing. Oh, what you gonna sing? And then that somebody be like, "Yes, Lord, be ye also ready."
I'm like, ready for what?
Is that scripture?
You know what? What is wrong with my camera? Why am I lopsided?
Yeah, it's not too lopsided here.
Really?
Are you
I feel
seeing
like,
yourself lopsided?
okay.
No,
Yes.
it's fine if you got to hold it. No, this essentially what I was talking about. Just they talking about not canceling. In a way, they talked about canceling Hispanic, and they talk about canceling certain things. And I'm like, the last Black History Month. I'll tell you, it's going to be we're headed towards the 100th anniversary next year of the Black History Month. But I think there's an evolution that's currently taking place that will take place
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
what it is, especially if we can tap in and tune into more of what is going on. And then us looking at it, and I say us, and I'm not talking about Black folks. I'm talking about human. I'm talking about the essentially American race, but I'm talking about the human race looking and turning towards the Black experience and what it is and the contribution. And it's one thing if the government gives honor, but it's a whole nother thing when the empowerment of the people, and this is a time and a test that the empowerment of the people will reign supreme.
Yeah.
and just the evolution of what we have experienced. And so, anyways, I know Miss Stana want to hear from Dr. Dorothy and some other people on
Hey,
here.
Santa. I don't know if I'm gonna come through tonight. Y'all see my shirt? Look at what I got. This is not good representation, right? Let me pull my arm out.
No, you good.
Maybe
I
that'll help
mean,
sanctify me a little bit.
no, you good. My strap is upstairs
You're
in my
what?
bedroom.
Oh,
My
you're
strap. I'm in Oklahoma. What you talking about? I'm
yeah.
for
Well, mine is
real.
over in the closet. You know,
That's-
I'm gonna tell you right now, it's loaded over here. Okay, we do not play over here in Maryland. We got everything you need to have your own arsenal, bruh. Hey, Stana, how you doing? I'm only on here because of her. She called my name too many times.
So what do you think? Give me a synopsis and some of your ideas about what I talked about tonight.
About Black history and the evolution of it.
Yeah.
Um,
And
well,
they talk about, you've heard of them say cancel, but then they did have the Black History Month at the White House inviting
yeah,
Black Republicans. Really, it was Black influencers, not
yeah,
necessarily Black
yeah,
Republicans, more influencers. But that aside, just with everything going on and the whole aspect of how it's seemingly that it's like certain aspects of the history they want to try to cancel it,
right.
or actually not let people learn about it.
Yeah. So my thought is this: if you're going to cancel Black History Month, you're really canceling the foundation of America. And it's kind of difficult to cancel Black History Month and not cancel all the months: white history, Hispanic history, Jewish history, whatever, race you want to put the word history in front of. It's difficult to cancel it because to say that you're canceling Black History Month, what does that actually mean? What is Black, right? Black people are more than just a color. We're an enigma in this country, and everywhere we go, we change things. I mean, you can get a group of us on a corner and it causes so much fear just because of our presence, right? So you can cancel a month, but you can't cancel Black people.
Mm.
And I think that is very important for Black people to understand, is that we don't continue to let America put us in a box. And when they decide they want to close that box down, then all of a sudden we don't exist. That makes no sense, right? So this is why I said in the comment section, Black History Month, February is my birthday month. I'm not sharing that with Black history. Because I'm Black 365 days out of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And for white people to tell me the only time you're going to acknowledge me is
Mm-hmm.
when we
Absolutely.
decide to give you a month, right?
Right. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, that makes no sense because as we expand in consciousness, of course, a lot of us want to get away from race because we want to go into oneness. We want to go into the singularity,
Absolutely.
right? We want to
Yeah.
go into what erases our differences. But in our all actuality, creation created differences for a reason. And how that creation shows up through us energetically determines how we're going to interact in this reality. So as Black people, we carry a certain energetic imprint. And it's important that we walk confidently in who we are, regardless to whether or not they give us a Black History Month. They give Martin Luther King a day, Marcus Garvey, all of our Black evolutionary heroes, Angela Davis, what's the I forgot, my lady on the bus, So
Harriet.
I mean,
No,
yeah,
yeah, not Harriet, but I know what you're talking
Harriet Tubman, all you know what I'm saying? So my thing is this: I'm black all the time. I don't get to take my blackness off February 28th, 12 o'clock a.m. Right? I don't get to take it off. So I'm not a person who just likes to be boxed into things, and don't
about.
label me, right?
Mhm.
And as we expand in our consciousness, and we even ourselves, we're expanding past these boxes that they're putting us in. But what I'm learning to do is to be confident in this black body, and to walk in this black body as if I am part of that cosmic message to humanity, that what makes me different is also what makes me the same. Right? Now that's kind of like contradictory, but
No,
what
no,
makes
but
me
no,
different?
no. I get what you mean. No, you're right.
Yeah,
It is the same. That I get it. Is one is in this reality and in this space how we move,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
the other one to me the oneness is in more of yourself, not
Right.
necessarily in the outside public view.
Exactly.
Like you get what I'm saying? Like you
I
seeing the
do.
oneness in yourself. If we are, here's the thing though, the ones that say that we go back to the we are all the same.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
if we are all the same, I need for you to embody the blackness in this space.
Exactly.
Not
Exactly.
not 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 us being all the same, and then we wipe away all those things, and then we look at the guts and the heart and be like, oh,
Right.
see, we
Right.
have a heart, you have blood. No, I want you, if we are where, if there is a oneness and you start talking about that oneness,
Yeah.
there comes a level of empathy also.
Mm-hmm. And
Right.
we have to, I think we need to pay attention to the laws of the different dimensions that we express ourselves in, right? We living in a cosmic reality, living in a universal reality. There's certain laws for that. There's certain laws of oneness and integration, right? But when you're talking about this material matter world,
Mm-hmm.
how we show up and how we are embodied is makes a difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I am embodied in this black body, I carry epigenetically every other black person, right, that came into this existence in this type of body. I don't erase that. I integrate it. I merge it. And as we evolved over time, what happens is we start to honor our differences. But when instead of honoring our differences,
Mm.
I think the unfolding for us and the expansion for us is when we can accept one another as we are right now, right? That
Absolutely.
means that if I'm in a room with a black person or a white person or Hispanic or Jew or whatever, I need to see the value in each of those differences,
Yes.
not compare or categorize.
I like that.
Yeah, I need to, because what I'm learning is that oneness does not erase difference. Oneness allows differences to exist, right? And
Yeah,
so if we're
absolutely.
constantly trying to make everything the same, what's the
Yes.
point?
Well, and oneness, to me, oneness is oneness. It's like married to become one.
Right, right, exactly.
That is like, that's not saying that we taking on each other's bodies. It's like,
Right.
no, we're operating and functioning in a cohesion, and
Right.
realizing and taking a step back and saying, okay, I hear you. Okay, let me hear you. Let me
Yeah.
receive. Apple clap back. Most people don't know.
Yeah.
Costco clap back. And my thing is,
Right.
like, we recognize the companies that didn't clap back, like Target, even though Target's founders daughters
Mm-hmm.
came back and clapped back and was like livid about what their founding father said about diversity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nobody has said anything about how hard Apple clapped back.
Right.
Apple clapped back so hard that they didn't even like you're not coming in our business and telling us what to do. You wouldn't have that iPhone if it wasn't for diversity.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have any of this. And Apple clapped back and was like, we're about to put $500 billion into America.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? Nobody says nothing about Apple when Apple was like, listen, we're the most, I think they're like the most wealthiest company.
Yeah.
So they just was like, you're not coming for us because we know that we need that's what makes Apple is the fact that they have female, they have I mean, if you just look at the phone itself, how many disability features and things of that nature. So I think what happens though too, a lot of times with some things like this, Dr. D, is that I think what happens is a lot of this gets raised up like this. And what happens is a lot of times this gets brought into our faces, and then it spawns out to be something way more than a person can imagine. I think the blackout for
tomorrow, is that tomorrow or
tomorrow?
Saturday?
I think what I like about it is the power of the people comes into play.
Right.
You know, and when we have issues with government, and you know, if we all be 100% open and honest with ourselves, the government has always had a long running system of the way the money works and taking money and doing whatever. And that was not a single party. That wasn't a single party where it's like, this party is the only corrupt. This is the only party that does that. We understand that the whole entire system is a level of bureaucracy. And so, but the disruption is the disruption. And when there's nothing we can really do about it besides kind of watch and then do what we do the best we can do it. Right. Okay. We're all going to do this. Oh, we're all going to do this. And the people that thought it was going to be one way and now they're not receiving their checks or their services. I mean, you learning. Right. You know, and my thing with the expanded conscious view, though, has to do with the conscious evolution has to realize is that, we experienced this, we're evolving. So how do we implement? And my thing with Black history is not that we don't honor Black history. And when I think Black history, because I don't think we really, honestly, I don't really think how do we honor Black history besides Martin Luther King in Martin Luther King month, and then we just talk about the same stuff. When I'm thinking like,
it's repetitive programming, you know?
It's repetitive, and that's why the reason why during this month, what I try to do is just have something really Black focused, even though I'll still have other content, but have this where it's Black focused, but it's like really going deeper. You know, with the Pan-Africanists, or going deeper with a conversation about all of the changes, and you hearing the words that they're talking about, you know, CRT and DEI, and you hear all these words. And so my thing is, how do we go deeper during this time? And have those conversations, and especially, man, don't get me started spiritually about how we have just drop. I mean, to me, it's like how we really don't have a history of understanding outside of the church of Black spirituality. America. I know we have African,
Right,
and
right.
African Americans have implemented some of the African spirituality,
Yeah.
but just us as a whole and as a people, and us with just level of spirituality and ancestral and understanding, like the fact that those Africans did have African spirituality, and they were like, some of the females specifically were shaman, and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
able
Yeah.
to use plant-based medicines and
Mm-hmm.
able to
Yeah.
really do some things,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how much we can run away
Right.
from
And
those, like,
the Hermetic principle, I look at that. All is mental, right?
mm,
The universe is mental, right? And if we look at
mhm,
our own mind has so much diversity in it. Imagine if we had one
mm,
thought, just one thought, right? And we all had the same thought. What is the purpose of embodiment? What is the purpose of these bodies? What is the purpose of matter? What is the purpose of existence? If we all had one thought, and we're all in the mind of the creator, we're all in the mind of God, and the mind of God created everything, right? Why did it do that? Why didn't it just stay one? Why why create a universe with planets and stars in the billions, uncountable? So source must love difference, right?
I
Must
mean,
love
yes, sort has
distinction.
to be different. Like,
Right.
that's the vastness. That would be the vastness of it.
Right. And
Is
difference to me is evolution. It's
Yeah.
evolving. It we may have all started out as like this one little seed or whatever, but look what we have evolved into. Now, what I will give Black people, right? Because I don't want to take away from the purpose that we're here, is Black women are the only ones that can birth every color person, right? and and still be a Black woman. What they say, the one drop rule. Now, this is not racism, this is biology, this is
Yeah.
science, right? And so if we can birth so many diversities of people, of nationalities, of colors, right, then are we not an extension of the universe, of the birth canal of the universe? The universe birthed all of this. I will not disgrace the value of difference in the name of oneness,
No.
right? I won't
Yeah.
do that.
And-
There's so much value in, look at the comment section in the video. Look at all the different ideas and opinions and people talking about one subject. We were meant to evolve. The mind of God, the mind of Christ, right? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What's the point of that if we all got the same mind? I would not want to be here if I got to be like everybody else. I love being
Or
different.
if you just had to be, everybody had to be exactly like you.
Wait a minute now. I
You
kind
know
of
what I mean? No, think about that. I wouldn't want to be
exactly,
around just nobody but exactly like me.
exactly, exactly. And I would not want to be here. I'm 65 years old, right? The last thing I want to do at this age is to find out that when I transition, right, to the next iteration, as Bishop Carlton used to say, that I'm just going to dissolve into the oneness of something else, of the same thing. Energy never dies, it just transmutes, right?
Hmm.
So we think about diversity. I think there's a sacredness to diversity. And I think when we stop fighting one another, stop categorizing one another, and accept and learn from our diversity, we can elevate it in consciousness. and let it expand. But right now, I mean, no, we can't do that because there's too much fighting about diversity. I would not want to be a man. I love being a woman. It's something sacred about me being in this female body. Well, what if everybody was a man?
That'd be
What if
counterproductive.
everybody was a woman? Which they start out in the womb, everybody start out as a woman. But eventually we diverge into these beings with these unique ideas. And I believe that I am a thought in the mind of God. And as I express myself and value who I am, I'm just expanding on me as a thought. And I think that is everybody's requirement. You're just a thought in the mind of God. And the more that you expand as Malachi, the more you're expanding and showing what God is thinking about you as a thought. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
For me, within my sacred time of my meditations, my practice is to lose all of it, though. My practice is to lose all of it because the whole purpose to me is the fact that we have these thoughts, and then we have to pull away from these thoughts within thought,
right?
To pull away from these thoughts. But then I'm going into my body, and I've been able to do certain levels of healing, certain levels of expanding, right? So I'm going into, whenever I think more of oneness, is not necessarily trying to make everybody fit into who I am.
It's not the same.
It's got my oneness has to do with the oneness of the universe, right?
Right.
And the planet and the cosmos and everything else that's within it. And I like, whenever he says everyone is you pushed out, to me, it's more of like, you have to accept the fact that that woman that you hate is another version of you as that person, but not necessarily as you, if you get what I mean.
Understood.
Right.
So then what is the point of transformation? What is the point of expanding? Do you understand what I'm saying? What's the point of evolution? What is the point of growth? What is the point of all of that if everything is, and I get what you're saying, because
everything's one. I get what you mean too. Whenever they talk oneness, though, I get what you're saying, because I've heard oneness talk, but that oneness talk is when you start hearing people talk about the oneness where they disregard race. I've heard about that. I hear that, where they disregard race and be like, "Oh, we all just one. Right. We're all the same.
We all bleed the same." But that oneness is internal, but it is not manifested. It's when we go inside, we do see the same, right? Because we're from the same source.
And yes.
When we go internal,
when we go inside,
inside, I get that oneness because we're all tethered to the same source.
Yes.
So what we don't want to do is misunderstand that oneness in manifestation.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, or misunderstand that in within who you are as an individual. And what I mean by that is like, all lives matter, Black Lives Matter. It's like, me and John Thomas was at an event, and it was like, I seen that there was one person there that was experiencing some level of pain in his transformation. But as I was sitting there and I was feeling it, it was kind of like the atmosphere in the room was kind of like, well, we all experience pain.
Right.
And my thing is like, I understand that, but the way I look at it was like, okay, wait a minute. If we're all here and existing, but his arm is cut off, we all can actually experience having an arm cut off. But right now, I think we should all have our energies focused on him.
Right.
And disregard what we know we experience, but let's focus on his issue or his problem and put ours to rest. Is it like, but I get exactly what you're saying is
Yeah.
a lot of times that oneness talk can actually try to take away from the fact that we are an individual, right? And we have
Exactly.
an individual experience and individual expression. And
Right.
that uniqueness is
Right.
a part of the oneness. Here's the opposite of that, or the
Hmm.
opposition to that. You can have a person that is a bad person and they treat
Hmm.
other human beings and they have done some vile things to other human beings,
Right.
right?
That's not me. I'm not connected to that.
I think we're connected in the sense that it hurts.
I think we can empathize, and I
Yeah,
think energetically we can interact with that energy of that person, but that does not mean that that is me
that's not
in
you, right?
form, in
Yes,
form, right? And
yes.
as that person is choosing to function on this lower this lower paradigm or this lower spectrum, right, of energy. We're all energy, right? But if I choose not to operate in that darkness, in that low place, just because you do don't mean that's me. It just means that we're both energy beings. And I can choose to function on a higher spectrum of that energy than what you
Hmm.
choose. And so yes, there's empathy.
Hmm.
There is this intuitive way that we connect with one another. But no, I mean, I can. I'm thinking of this 3D dimension that we're in, not
Yeah.
not our general overall
No,
connectedness.
yeah, especially, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but
And with,
matter and
especially
form.
in this reality, abs
Yeah,
honestly, that right there really brings it. That oneness talk really works well in the in the realm of in the realm of like 5D, whatever, in the realm of quantum. Like that oneness talks really works well. But whenever I come down to this, it's kind of like if
yeah,
you got a bill to pay.
right. Are you gonna pay my bill? Because we won, because it's our bill now. Now, anybody who think they me, please call me and let me know that you feel my burden and my bills.
Yeah.
I call what people keep falling into the space of oneness. I call that conscious bypass,
Yeah.
right? It's a
Yeah.
way of ignoring differences and devaluing it. It doesn't mean that
Ooh.
we're not the same in some way, but in expression, in 3D, in formation, no, I value my difference. Now, y'all want to say y'all me and I'm y'all, please come pay my car note every month. Today I had this horrible dizziness and headache. Nobody called me and say, I'm feeling dizzy and got a headache today. Nobody called me and said I was supposed to go to the store before tomorrow, the 28th. Nobody called me and said, oh wow, we don't got no food in the house, right?
Right. Right.
Now that's practical, but
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
reality.
Yes. Absolutely.
You did
Absolutely.
not feel my headache today, did you, Malachi? Did you did you feel my dizziness? I'm sitting here under the covers, like, oh, I'm so dizzy. Nobody on the whole planet called me and say, wow, we're dizzy today.
Mm.
No, because we're different.
Mm. I think that's really, and I think it's
Practical.
beautiful. I mean, there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with. It's almost like there's nothing wrong with the. No, there's beauty in the difference.
Yes, it's
You know.
sacred.
Yeah.
It's value. I love being on here with you and you not me.
Yeah.
Right? You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
How would it be if me and you the same and the audience is the same? What's the point of this?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what makes the world, right? And that's what makes humans, right? Because
Beautiful.
um, dogs, um, plants, other living things, uh, there's the, I think I was reading it in that book when it was talking about the cosmic consciousness, right? And I think there is a point for some of those things, but I think those, as you talk about it, for me, I think it really is a lot of that oneness is really almost like designed for that inner work.
Exactly. It's designed for the connection to the cosmos. We don't live inward enough to be talking
No,
about oneness. We can't even be one with ourselves.
no.
We don't even connect with the oneness in our internal self.
Most of us
How am I connected
struggle.
to a oneness when I'm
Right.
all divided up and fragmented?
Yeah. You got to be able to, yes, absolutely. I think the less that you are connected with the oneness of self and the connection to the higher self. A lot of times it's
Yeah.
like the God and divine, they mix it all together. And to me, I think a lot of times it's like, I feel like the high,
Today I've got my RTA.
Sorry.
oh,
Sorry.
okay. I feel like my higher self is connected to the oneness. In other words, it's like another version of me, not just God itself.
Yeah.
You get them in us being and me being able to work with that entity, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's how, for me, that's actually how manifestation works. Is being in agreement with the higher self, as in, that's like jumping timelines. Me in this space that's when we're getting into that. You have duality, but then you actually have as above, so below.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you start looking at how we can go into that space, go into the oneness with the divine.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, yeah. And I think that is just, did that come from the 70s? The one race, human race,
one race.
Because we weren't even a race. Like, what was it? 300.
They didn't even create race until slavery. There was no such thing as race before that.
Yeah, races.
And they did that to fulfill the divine mandate of colonizing.
1735.
Yes, exactly. That was the point of race, was to create difference and to elevate whiteness above every other race. But even if you go back to the mind of
that's not even long ago, to be honest.
Exactly. And do you know academia does not even recognize the word race? Right?
Interesting.
They will go with culture, they will go with genetics, things like that. But race, we learned that in college. Race it's a cultural word, right? It's accepted in the general population, but what the heck
Johnson,
is race?
1670. Deidre said John said 1670 here, and then Deidre said it's a contrast, right?
Yes, it's a construct. Exactly.
The beauty in the diversity is
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think
go ahead.
No, you good.
I was gonna say, even if we went back to the mind of Source doesn't have oneness in its mind. It has a bunch of thoughts. Source thinks, and it doesn't think the same thing. Can you imagine Source having one thought, right? No diversity, no ideas. It's just it. What's the point?
Because we're always looking for differences and figuring out things when it comes to humanity. My thing here is embracing. The thing is to embrace the differences versus looking for the differences. I learned that, where I learned that more than anything is my father-in-law. Our conversations about race. He was born a white male, but for 40 years he was a superintendent, doctor over a whole entire institution of mental retarded people.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
What that did to him is like you already have like all the different races and different people, but if you have patients in here, everybody that's in here are mental retarded. And the whole goal,
Right.
and so the whole goal is to try to take this person from beating themselves to not beating themselves.
Right. Right.
The whole
Right.
goal is so you had to embrace from the psychology, you had to look at the differences was the baseline.
Yes.
So it was like
Yes.
the baseline is here's what normal would be, and then it's
Mhm.
like he's self-harm. I worked for 2 or 3 years on what we call as the sexual predator unit, and it was just
Mhm.
people in there. And what happens is like if you dealing with people cognitively, and I'm not talking about I'm not talking about an insane asylum. I'm talking about
That right.
mental retardation. They
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
born that way. And
Right. Right.
so you serving these particular patients and these people, and your goal is to put them in, do various IEPs and all different things. But his goal, it's funny because he did it for 40 years. But when he first went there, they just took all the mental retarded and they locked them up and put them in chains. And like literally that's where they was like the institution, we got to get rid of them. And what they did was they made individual houses, they made individual places for the cottages and where people to eat, because this was a whole campus. I'm telling you, this thing was like an independent campus with literally 300 patients and 800 staff. And
Mhm.
but the whole goal was to actually help these people live.
Right.
So
Right.
you had to
Right.
have you had to pull way back. I mean, you had to pull way back from race, because if you have somebody that's coming for you,
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to be ready. But at the same time, it did at one time. It was a space that allowed us to see like people,
Yeah.
and because
Yeah.
they're dealing with these issues. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it really, in that space, right? And when you serve those people, or when you connect to it, my wife grew up as a kid on the campus. So
Mhm.
therefore, it's one thing to you be black and you come in there, but it's another thing if you black and you have a mental retarded son.
Right.
And
Right.
everybody looking like,
Right. Right.
you know, backing up and looking. So that's it was a whole different training for me in terms of just really looking at the cognitive abilities and looking at individuals and looking at,
Mhm.
now you're looking at differences in the ability to function.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Versus like everybody's
Yeah.
here and functioning, and
Yeah.
now we're dealing with a whole nother level. But I think the differences is it's what's beautiful. Like even whenever you have
Yes.
the differences, as in like that person that was just there's people that I remember that
Yeah.
lived there that got out,
Uh-huh.
and even to this day, like it almost brings tears to my eyes to think about the people that I served, and they didn't have. And you think about race, it's like these people were just certain people were just happy to see me
Yeah.
and happy because I treated them. I treated them like as normal as I could treat that individual.
Yeah. Right.
Even though like basic functions of being able to live, and the only thing that some of those people wanted to do was, man, if I get to go to the canteen, oh my God,
Right.
like, you making me feel good going to the canteen. And it just really it really taught me about people born different, but being able to embrace those differences and how you treat those people or how you work
Yeah.
with those people.
Yeah.
Makes me think about growing up in in African American space, let alone it happens in a lot of spaces.
Yeah.
But you grow up and person would have certain things going wrong, and they would say they grow out of it. But you have autism that was going on, ADHD that was going on. You have all these different things, but a person not knowing that, wow, if he would get some kind of assistance and knowing that he needs to have speech therapy, this and that, if you just know that this person is different and you have to communicate to them, all of a sudden they can function much better.
Right.
You know,
because crazy is different crazy, right? You know,
you best believe it.
You know, my thing is white crazy is not the same as black crazy, right?
Well, that's pretty proven.
So my thing is, and I apologize for using the word crazy, but I'm just trying to make this a little light. But mental health issues, you can't even treat everybody the same. When you're treating a person with a mental health issue, you got to treat that individual, right? We can try to build some kind of general construct to try
General
to
framework,
label
but
people
no.
under, but you got to treat each person differently.
Absolutely.
Why is that? What I mean, I just don't understand why we're choosing to completely ignore the value of diversity, and I think it's because it cannot be controlled, right?
I think it
Cannot
was how it
control
was.
diversity.
Well, I think since we have a long history of it being built on it, that now I think what's happening, truthfully, I think what's happening is it's actually working. I think what's happening is the diversity of who we are, no matter how much you try to get rid of it, it's too late.
Programming.
It's too late.
You can take a group of people, right? Isolate them on an island and program them to think the same way. Remember the Stepford Wives? I know it's a TV show, but we can be programmed to do anything. You can be programmed. Somebody can program me to think that I'm you.
And we're already running. And honestly, we are all running them. I think the whole point of consciousness, or getting more aware of consciousness, is to realize the programs that we're running. And actually what we're talking about is the programs that are out there. When you say, why not embrace the diversity? And a person then says, oh, wait a minute. You know, my thing is realizing, like, how does a person reflect to Black history, knowing that what we've been through?
Right. We just got to allow people to use their memory to expand themselves, right? Let Black people decide if they want to remember their history. Don't dictate what they should do.
Yeah.
Just allow every culture, right? Every ethnic group to value their experiences as their experience.
Yeah.
So America has this is where decolonization comes in at. Because decolonization is all about coming in and colonizing every country and trying to make it some level of democracy. It just doesn't work. We want everybody to be Christian. And look what we're doing. We're completely destroying the world. Now the United States is being completely uprooted because of colonization, religious colonization, right? Now we got everybody wants to turn everything into this Christian this and Christian that. That's the same thing that brought us here and turned us into chattel slaves.
Is there an evolution? Do we think that since we're having this conversation, though, because like if we think about 50 years ago, we wasn't having this, 60 years ago, we wasn't really having this conversation.
We weren't allowed.
We weren't allowed. Us having this conversation, though, I think is like, it's stirring up. I think the reason why we see so much of the hardcoreness is because that pot has been stirred up so much. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like the pot has been stirred up so much, and you know,
We're awakening.
we're awakening to actually have to sit there. Like, you can change all you want to, but actually have to sit there and listen to Jasmine Crockett. Like, you would be like, I have to sit here and listen to this. I can't just be like, dismiss. We don't even want to hear your voice.
Right.
It's a beauty. I think we can see it how we see it. One of the things that I have to work as far as how my coaching goes.
Yeah.
I deal a lot with people that run those old programs and they self-sabotage, and most of the negative energy is what actually keeps them from achieving their goals.
Right.
Like, most of the negativity, we want to see it for what it is, and it could be real.
Get my cord. Let me really get my cord.
Yeah, let's see. She's an actress. We want to, what I was saying, y'all, is that we want to, man, that just totally threw me off. I'm going to get off here before long. I've been here for 2 hours. I got Dr. Dorothy on here.
That's the last thing you should have done, was put me on this later.
The people seen us. We'll wrap it up here in the next 5 minutes. Let's see. I believe I'm trying to think where I was going.
I apologize, but
no,
my
it's all
phone's about
good.
to croak.
No, well, and being able to see, I believe what I was saying is being able to woo, that's when you know you need to stop.
Who said that? What happened?
I'm running around. I went on the 7th floor of my brain and it was looking for where that thought was.
The 7th floor? How many floors you got? This is why we can't be on the show together. This is not good. The 7th floor. You was talking about mental health, weren't you? Oh boy, I'm sorry, y'all.
Let's see. Dr. Dorothy has a great perspective. All right, let's see. Santa says she's still here. Oh, negative. Oh, clients. Well, what happens is it's amazing how it works with negativity or how we self-sabotage. A lot of people are running these programs, and what happens is you want to have a certain output or certain result. And really, a lot of times you're dealing with a lot of the certain levels of negativity, certain levels of bias, and what happens is if you don't learn how to shift that energy, the universe is going to give you back what you are, regardless of how much you put the work in. You could be like, man, I'm putting the work in. I'm doing all this. But if you can't, that's where that oneness comes within to me. Right. A lot of the oneness talks, and whether you're dealing with duality and you're dealing with a lot of that goes from, like, literally that is so personal. Yeah. And being able to connect to your higher self and being able to connect to the oneness within who you are. Yes. With the divine. Yes. That's not negating the fact that I gotta feel like I'm the exact same person as that person that, let's say, a rapist. That person raped this person, but you'd be like, we all won this, right?
We just all rapists, right?
No, the rapist, you gotta go back to the rapist, you know what I mean? And be like, the rapist didn't rape one of your family. You'd be like, we all won, right?
It's called personal responsibility.
Or called fucked up too. I'm sorry.
Right. Don't get me started on him now. Do not get me started on him.
No, Miss Marie, I did not lose my mind. She said, lost his mind. I didn't lose my mind. I just was on the 7th floor looking in a room, and I was going to talk about negativity, and literally I turned, Dr. Dorothy was talking about she need to go to another floor. So I turned around and was like, where was I at?
And we supposed to be one, right? All of them people in the audience, you should have picked up on where you was. I'm sorry. This is what happens when you get me out the bed, out from under the cover. Come on
You
a
didn't have to.
lie.
You could have done like Miss
Yes,
Marie.
I did, because I'm tired of turning you down because I'm in the bed.
You didn't know. You could do a whole show. Well, you just need to do just turn it on the volume and be like, okay, yeah, I'm good. We just seen your face. I mean, seen the audio. We'll come back and we'll do something next week. Stana, you have to make sure you're around. I'll have Dr. Dorothy on because we always have some really good conversations.
Yeah, I like that. The portal. Who is that? Gaia, the stage. You're about to open a portal in your mind across dimensions. That's powerful.
Ooh,
That's
let me see. We're getting in some other books around here. Let me get a start.
Man. What is that?
I don't know.
Oh boy.
Talk about the portal of the mind.
Man, you start talking about them portals, you really going into a whole bunch of places.
That's just like me going from Black History Month to the portals. I think really to sum it up though, I think this book here, The Conscious Evolution, is just basically her framework is Black History Month 2025.
Yeah.
Black history, Black experience.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 2100.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Although we're blending and becoming like there's a lot that's changed now who we are than what we were 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. 2100. Think about it.
Right.
How really diverse are we going to be in 2100? Well, right now we have this fear of
that's not far
wiping
enough.
out white people, right? White people have this fear that they're going to be wiped out and that we're just going to have this brown world, right?
No, that's dumb.
But I'm just saying, if you think all these other ethnicities are going to be, wiped out and the world is just going to be brown, then you have no real concept of the diversity that is in our genes, in our DNA. A Black woman can have a Black baby and a white baby at the same time.
Yeah.
So trying to use
2100, I think we're going to be I think more of the issue would be dealing with transhumanism.
Yes, absolutely. And that way they can make us all the same.
Yeah, transhuman. Well, I mean, if I was to take us back 1,000
in our heads.
Yeah, but if I was to take us maybe so. But my thing is that, like, if I was to take us back, technology changes. It affects our time.
Right.
If you get what I mean, technology affects our time. No different. It affects the evolution. So if we go back, let's say 1,000 years, I think we would be transhuman to those people. They would be like, what the heck is that? Certain aspects would be like, what the heck is that? So I think that's just 75 years.
We're going to be so different. We're going to have expanded our consciousness by then. We're going to be a totally different humanity.
It's a whole different humanity.
Absolutely.
And so the whole thing of this is understanding that that's to come. So in the conscious evolution standpoint is how do we take what we have, knowing that we evolve, and put it into part of a framework that we say, I know we are evolving. What would be the conscious evolution of that? So in other words, like gun control, the conscious evolution would be like, well, people kill people, but they use the guns to kill people. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Do we have
Yeah.
less? So the evolution says what of the gun says what we've been doing hasn't worked. I mean, it's kind of like saying there was a time that you had guns that you didn't really necessarily have safety. It was like, do you know if
Yeah.
you put a safety on a gun, it'd be a lot safer? Okay, let's put a safety.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you this. Someone has said this. Take a politician, and it depends on who they are, because it can go the other way. And you put them on psilocybin, and you make them have a heroic dose and trip out and guide it, and they said they will come out a complete different person.
You scare the hell out of them. That's why.
Yeah, they said
when
they can
go
come out a
inside
complete
and
different
really-
person.
Yeah, we give them some medicine. Let them go inside and really see what's in there. They
See
not
what's in
coming
there.
out the same. They not coming out.
They're
the
not
same.
coming out the same. I'm like,
I'm sorry. I mean, if I'm meditating and I really have a transformative internal moment, when I come out of that, I'm not the same.
no,
I'm not the same.
no. I could tell you now that who I am today is definitely not who I was last year. And the thing about my evolution in this consciousness, I can say over the last 5 years, I didn't know how much the ability that I had, that I can evolve. And
Yes.
in being able to use meditation as a tool to, of course, being consistent, but as a tool to evolve into something that I desire, right? And becoming it. If you get what I mean, becoming that person, or becoming, that's where that shadow stuff starts. That's where that shadow work and that shadow stuff starts coming in, right? And I called you the other day and I was talking about down the rabbit hole, right? That's a chapter. But essentially the headline is beyond belief. Like that is the headline so much, because belief is something that I think that is what we have to shift. Deconstructing our reality, or deconstructing or decolonizing, all those things are based on beliefs.
Absolutely. 100%. Change your belief, you'll change your constructs.
Identifying them is another thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a guy that I want to have on the show, and he's doing a lot of deep research, science research on psilocybin and different experiences and what people are going through. And literally, they're doing some research where they're breaking different beliefs down that we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's working on a kind of a process that says you ask these questions, you put it in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT, literally the prompt in ChatGPT brings this high IQ psychological analysis that breaks down your beliefs and say, here they are.
Right. Yeah.
It was so powerful. I mean, like we're talking about, I was like, that is powerful. And then it's like how you can shift them. It's so powerful. I think you heard me, but I had some blood work.
Yeah, I did. I heard
done, and I was literally able to write a prompt. And you know what? I got back from the GPT what a doctor won't give you. The doctor will read it and say, like, okay, yeah, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is good.
It's just a little low, but you okay.
Right. But it's not going to look at the historical. I said, like, look at the historical analysis of a Black male in comparison. And I gave it all that. And it was like, well, considering, you know, that you're this, your vitamin D already is low, but then it gave me the history.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
looked at, you know, slight anemia, and it could be this, it could be a kidney stone. Like
Yeah.
I was like, this is insane. This is beautiful.
Right.
But do you know it took a certain level of consciousness in order to actually be able to say, I'm gonna throw this in ChatGPT, because technically I really did order the blood work for myself. I
Mm-hmm.
geek out like that, so I can look at my own, so I can look and see myself.
Eventually, that's what we're gonna be doing. Because
And
we
then
ain't
I
gonna
go,
even get to the doctor. When Trump get finished, we gonna ChatGPT gonna be our doctor,
yeah,
our
to be your
lawyer.
doctor. You can, what is
I'm
it?
like,
You
Jesus,
a
remember?
lot of people do telemedicine. Well, I usually look for old doctors. My doctor's probably 87, but I look for doctors that I can work with, because I'm a biohacker. That's a
Right.
whole nother conversation. I'm a
Yeah.
biohacker because I want to see if I can change different things. But but that's part of the evolution, and being able to have the understanding and the knowledge, you know, of I like what you say. That's really called embracing our differences.
Yes.
There's no reason that we need to go into this three-dimensional. We need to go into a oneness when we
Mhm.
embrace the differences.
Right. Right.
That
Right.
you know what I mean? Like it makes it for what the world actually is, and actually what God actually is.
Yeah, because I think if we learn to embrace what has been given to us through our sacred manifestations, it's gonna lead us to oneness. When you start
Ooh,
chopping stuff up, right?
ooh,
When you
ooh, ooh,
chop
ooh,
stuff
ooh,
up and
ooh.
you deny what is here, you will never get to oneness unless you go through diversity,
Mm,
right? You can't go through change and diversity and differences to get to oneness.
mm.
How,
Yes,
how did that makes no sense to me.
yes.
Everybody's trying to get the oneness, but they trying to skip over, bypass, right? The diversity that came out of oneness. You can't do that. That's just common sense,
You
bruh.
you know that's a book, right?
Yeah, well,
That's a book.
that's what we do, right?
Instead of, it's like, as Neo said, that's a bar. Now that's a book right there. Like
Right.
the
I just don't
the
understand.
diversity
Yes.
of oneness.
Yes, that's why it's so sacred. Oh my God, I feel that in my belly. This is why we we always want to take the easy way around. We always want to create these paths around reality, right? Because we
Mm,
don't have the capacity for
mm,
reality. Right? That's why we have to wake up in different levels to reality. But I put a
mm-hmm.
post on my Facebook page the other day that said, You spiritual, but you not conscious." Right? Because conscious means to awaken and face reality, face what is, face what's real, face what life is presenting to you. And as you awaken to that, then you can evolve. But you can't
Mm,
evolve sleep. You might roll over and fall out the bed, but that's not evolution, right? So if we don't learn to accept the diversity, accept the path of diversity, we won't get to oneness. That's what
mm,
makes oneness sacred.
mm-hmm.
It's tentacles of it, and it's saying, okay, if you want to get to oneness, you have to embrace all that oneness presents to you. Oneness presents diversity, it presents difference, it presents evolution, it presents transformation and expansion. That's all in oneness. God, it's in the mind of God.
Mm.
But we can skip over that and just, oh yeah, we just won,
I think a lot of it comes from
kumbaya.
I think the historical evolution of the human too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that is that feast or famine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so it's like, take from this one, I gotta protect mine, I gotta protect what I have,
Selfish.
right? Is
Yeah.
they talk about that within the early history of the human, where it was like where you have these tribes, if you will, of people, and it's like people are
Mhm.
surviving, but then this one's not hunting, and this one is just like, well, he's weaker. I'm gonna just go over there and take his take his stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so, in other words, is this it's kind of an animalistic nature.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's like, and when you think about capitalism, it's an animalistic nature.
It is. It
You
is.
know, like how, when you look at greed, let's just say that, like if it's capitalism
Mhm.
gone bad, bartering and all that is part of that what we've formulated now. But when you look at greed, it's like I want to take yours, charge you for what I just charge you for what I took, right?
Right. Right.
And then make you work for me.
And then pay you a little bit
Pay
while
you a
you
little bit
work
or
for
not
me.
pay you. You know what I mean? First, we're gonna
Or
start
right.
and just not pay you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just gonna
Yeah.
use our power, and then we're gonna pay you a
Yeah.
little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's that old. That's that to me. That's more of a history of that's that primal nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a
Yeah.
primal. It's a scarcity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
evolution of us of this all is, I think we find out that the oneness is when we find within ourselves of the differences, but then we actually can contribute,
Right.
openly contribute to other people. Like one of the things that someone was talking about not black history, they're talking about black businesses and everything, the black experience on Black Wall Street. And some
Mm-hmm.
people were just like, like this was amazing. And and it was white people at Black Wall Street. And it was like, what can we do? Like, I mean, like this was horrible. And it was like, openly contribute, openly patronize to these businesses. They open these businesses, spend your money
Mm-hmm.
on these businesses, because what people think is when you buy black or shop black, they think it's related to race in the sense that
Mm-hmm.
you choosing them over white. It's like, no, it's like when you open that business, you might, a lot of times you will be um over possibly overlooked or possibly not have the actual opportunity. And so therefore when you have an effort to say, okay, like if I want to help or be a part, I want, help. Your oneness needs to realize, your oneness needs to realize that I realize and see that there may have been a disadvantagement
Right. Right.
that you
Right.
might have had. And so therefore I
Mm-hmm.
want to contribute to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you can survive based on that history. But anyways, I know it's
Yeah.
getting late in your city. It's 12:18 in your city.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
y'all, okay, Stana and who else? Anybody y'all love Miss Marie getting on here? I mean, Miss Dorothy getting on here. I'm reading Miss Marie. I just was down to the third floor, so my brain didn't function right.
I'm glad you made it back down, Brock. Oh boy.
Okay, okay. Let's see. What is it? Cowbird? Okay, I don't know. My I'm limited. Cool. I see. It's cool. Everybody is I love all the conversations. I love it, love it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you one thing, we're gonna have a real beautiful example of oneness tomorrow on the 28th.
Yes, absolutely.
When millions of diverse people come
Yeah.
together and decide not to go shopping. See how
Yes.
diversity leads to oneness?
Yes.
It's a whole bunch of us,
Yes.
millions of us, different people, but coming together for one purpose.
Yes.
That's oneness.
Yes, absolutely. Especially when the big system that's trying to control everything
Yeah.
is forcing you to actually know. It's like that's true democracy.
Yeah. We create oneness
We create
through our
it. Yeah.
diversity, right? We create oneness through our diversity. We can go on and on and on, Malachi. You know,
Absolutely.
we can be on here all night long talking about this.
Absolutely. Well, one thing we do know.
Oh, you got to play.
Embark on your journey, the path you must take.
This
Though
song.
hate may surround you, it's not your fate to forsake. Co-creating your destiny in the dance of time. The guiding light within you ignites the sublime. It is the light, the guiding light from the heart and soul. Don't lose control. Let it be the light shining bright, unlocking potential beyond belief, taking flight. In the depths of your being, the truth resides.
Yeah.
Raise your power, let your spirit rise. With every step forward, you transcend the expanded conscious community we commend. Through trials,
I love this song, y'all.
your soul evolves in the symphony of life, where every note resolves. Listen to the whispers of your inner voice. In unity and love, let your heart rejoice. It is the light, the guiding light from the heart and soul. Don't lose control. Let it be the light shining bright, unlocking potential beyond life. Taking flight. It is the light, the guiding light from the heart and soul. Don't lose control. Let it be the light shining bright, unlocking potential beyond belief. Taking flight as we gather together in the sacred space.
I love
Embracing
this.
transformation with grace. Life Coach Malachi leads the way.
Coach Malachi.
Potential
That's so funny. Transformation with
We're
grace.
having a party by ourselves.
Oh my goodness.
Man, I can't wait for that to get on iTunes.
Yeah, with your son singing it. Oh,
Oh, he gonna kill it. Y'all gonna do that together.
I want it. Be like,
You know you got him. That's beautiful. I love that song.
unlocking potential beyond belief.
Beyond
Take it
belief.
flight.
Whew. That's a conscious song right there, bruh. You did that thing right there. I'm
The
gonna tell you.
there we
That's
go.
beautiful.
I gotta.
Thank you, Stana. Love you. We gonna get together on them books, sis.
All right, D, you still here? Oh, thank you. I didn't know I was a part of that. I didn't know there was some oneness. And thank you, Miss Marie, for
Thank you,
tapping
Marie.
in.
Yes. Appreciate you.
She said, "This is how we do it in the country."
Yes, sir. People don't know how to have fun no more. I think they forgot.
Okay, yes, Miss Velma. That's so beautiful.
Thank you, Miss Velma. Love you. Mwah. Thank
Guy
you,
of the
Guy of
stage.
the Stage.
I
Yes,
like
this was
that.
fun. Yeah. Mother Earth.
Well, that's been real, y'all. We love
Yeah.
you guys, and I'm going to run this in credit, and then it's gonna go off, and I'm gonna talk to Miss Dorothy real quick.
Got it, bro. I'm here.